Indeed, it is our turn, and welcome to Where Eagles Soar. Creative Guy hosting here with co-host Kyler Davenport. How are you doing, Kyler?
Hey, great. I just cooked a big, massive pot of collard greens, and I was screaming to everyone in the world to help me with that. And it's kind of weird. Nobody expected me to ever do that, but I'm sitting here with a big pot of collard greens on the stove, and like poke salad, I didn't know whether to dump it out, put new water in, or not, and everybody was like, "Man, what are you talking about? What are you talking about?"
Collard greens are great. So, most people don't know what the hell you're talking about when you start talking about healthy food the way it used to be. It used to be cooked and served, and Mama's kitchen, the old school way. I love grits, by the way.
Oh, me too. Grits, collard greens, cornbread,
all that.
pinto beans. Yeah.
I spent enough time south of the Mason-Dixon to really get into that stuff. So, that's one of the things I loved about being in the U.S. as much as I was with music and whatever. But I always made a point of finding the little diners, the ones that are going to do it, not your Bob Evans, right? But the ones I mean, that they're going to do it right. You're going to get the real deal. And
yes.
Old school, so yeah, I seen a few times.
I'm starting to see a lot of wonderful changes across the board here on Facebook. I'm starting to see a lot of people just coming out for us and coming out for others who are doing what we're doing. It's really amazing. I mean, last week I called you and said I was depressed and I'd been seeing a lot of stuff coming across the board, but now there's a surge. All of a sudden, I see a major surge in turning the other way. I see people really starting to ask a lot of serious questions would have never asked them before in my network. So I see really positive changes taking place here.
Oh, absolutely. I am literally getting hammered with Facebook contact requests. Remember, a couple of weeks ago I was saying, wow, I'm almost at 1,000, right? So, which was like, wow, go bigger, right? I just thought that was, I'm sitting at 1,216 now. So, I mean, it's been constant. And what's beautiful about it is everyone that we're all on the same page, Like well, I got many mottos, but one of my faves is this: we do this together. And and I've been talking about that a lot lately on the shows, just because of certain people, radio hosts no less, slamming and hammering individuals that are actually making a difference in the world. And I'm thinking, what's the point in that, guys? Whether you like someone or not, it doesn't matter. Look at the intent of what they've done, and look what was caused the result. But they're too busy into this ego porn. Yeah, new word again, new phrase, ego porn, where they're pumping up their chests, and I call it a dick measuring contest. I lost. I haven't lost sight of it. These guys are losing sight of what it is we're doing. And everyone's heard me. I mean, I'll hammer things as far as processes go. But I always have the intent, whether or not I agree with opting in, which I do not. It's for me, it's a COINTELPRO legal trap, and this is just another. It's almost identical to the same operation they pulled to get the hippies and turned them into yuppies. The ones that were against the man that eventually, became some of the best consumers this planet has ever seen, which effectively destroyed humanity. It's not even an issue.
I think that's one big reason without all the credit cards over at the college here, because when the freshmen come in, I think that's one way to get them under contract, bling and let them have money and letting them run up these bills and letting them buy things. I think that really hooks them in to the contract thing, don't you?
Well, again, anything to do with the name. This is what I refer to as the Whore of Babylon. Anything to do with the name is tied to the system. And I mean, people are used to they're used to us, because we really go where eagles soar when we do these shows. And I don't hold back anyway, but I like the Saturday nights because I know you don't, and it's like, well, let's see how far we can push this envelope of truth and get people to wake up. Someone asked me the other day about, I know what's the name and this and that, but how do I work, with the system and that? Is, well, here it is in an analogy for you. You've got a virgin lying on the bed there, and I was talking to a guy, all right, and you climb on top of her and you put it halfway in. Is she still a virgin?
Yeah.
No. So you're either in or you're out, and there is no fine line. There are some of us, very few, and I expect people to go to the extent that I did. The reason why I did, because I saw that my role, my purpose, to hold this particular line. I mean, I'm holding my puzzle piece, right? So that people don't have to go to this extreme. All they have to do is start changing towards it. You know, stop with credit cards. Stop with signing your name on everything. You know, stop complying with every nonsense bullshit rule. Here's a good one, right? You've heard of the, you know, you have a right to freedom of speech, right? Well, says who?
Right.
I already know that. I don't need a document to tell me, freedom of speech.
No, of course not. It's it's not a privilege even. It's a duty. It's a God-given
spiritual obligation.
Obligation. Yeah, of course it is. You're tuned in already. You don't need any man to tell you this, that, or the other. You're already tuned in to the source. You're already tuned in.
Oh, exactly.
There's no need to go get permission from Daddy or Mommy or the corporation or the police department or the city or the state.
I actually went potty all by myself this morning, and I didn't call anybody for permission.
Right.
You know, and it's such a simple concept for people to get, but most people will glaze over on it. But I don't need a piece of paper to tell me what my heart says. I don't need that.
You know, it's funny. I've noticed the Social Security office up here all started getting up and up. They're outside now 2 and 3. They're harassing people. They're patting people down when they go in. I gave the guard hell the other day, man. I gave them literal hell. I thought they were going to call the SWAT team on me. They're padding everybody's Social Security. It's kids. They're putting kids up.
Yeah, it's conditioning.
It's crazy.
It's all about conditioning. How much can we get away with before people actually start standing up? And you'd be amazed at how many people just go into total dial. Out of a predetermined fear that was created for them. It's not one that they had themselves. It was manufactured, constructed, and put in place where people, okay, well I'll comply, and they bend over, and they're going to get to a point where they might not use condoms. You know, that's not your option here. You know? No,
of course not. I noticed a lot of old ladies standing up here for a young man who thrown up against the wall. He had a little pocket knife in his pocket, and it didn't seem to meet standard for the guard. And I noticed a couple of older women came to his rescue and said, "Sonny boy, now you give him back his knife and you leave him alone, or you're going to have both of us to deal with." And he looked at him kind of smirky, and she said, "Do you want to try me, young man?" And boy, let me tell you something. He handed the knife back to the kid.
And that's the power of the matriarch. That's the power of grandmama.
Man, it was great.
You know, if grandma can do it, and one of my another favorite thing of mine is, listen, guys, you big tough men out there, go out and try, do something. I've done so much, and I'm half the man you are.
Yeah.
You know, but look at the power of grandmother.
I think I'm going to get a bumper sticker that says, "Don't mess with grandma."
Yeah, well, that's the thing, and if you've been listening to Annie and Tammy stuff, she lays it out quite clear. You know, we're dealing with a patriarchal overruling of the creation of the matriarch. Mm-hmm. Mother is creation.
Yes.
And that's what milking, and I've brought it up before with, and I'm pun intended, I guess, but the word register, regis, stir, 2 words, to rule, regis, Latin, and stir. Any word with stir in it means creative, feminine, spiritual essence. Yes. Let's look at the Admiralty term. You know, you talk about a ship from bow to stern, so you must bow to the stern or stir with the end at the end of it. It means it's mine. I own this. So it's feminine mind. So bow to the feminine mind. And what Tammy has revealed, and she has stood her ground like so few I know, and she's holding them at bay. And it's all based on this one concept that they're terrified of, because without the special deposit, i.e. the female, the whole system, the International Monetary Fund, all the world banks, everything is hinged on it.
Yeah.
You know, it's some pretty powerful information. So again, and while I'm talking about Tammy here, get on to her show, Leaving the Farm, on Thursday nights, and get yourselves educated. And don't forget, with the Syncrenicity.com site, we do have a YouTube channel, and all the shows are there. Leaving the Farm, Outside the Box, Where Eagles Soar, Syncretism, Cosmic Blueprints, they're all there. And you can get them on YouTube if you prefer that mode. And Zach, I have to do a big shout out for Zach. He does the most beautiful, slick videos with our radio shows.
Yeah, and Zach is great.
Isn't he awesome?
Awesome.
And it's ready to go by the next day. Most times, same day. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, and ours is picking up, and the Eagle's Nest is picking up. People are starting to become a little more aware of being more active in the community. We've had a few people that are out there actually doing things for the first time in their life in the streets. They're actually moving out into the streets, getting off the couch with Facebook, and starting to join some organizations that are out there doing some good. So that's a positive thing. Even if it's 2 people, even if it's 3, it makes me very happy, you know. Because those 3 will affect 30, and those 30 hopefully will affect 100, and it'll just keep going, like you always say, you know.
Well, it goes exponential, and I should mention to you, I don't know what it is with your Skype, but you'll come in really strong, then it'll fade out to where you can almost not hear you, and then it comes back in again. So I don't know what's going on there, whether it's something to do with the mic or, you know.
I'm trying to sit as still as possible, and I'm trying to get a good line here. I'm not moving my head. I'm trying to do everything right. It's been doing that for a while now.
Yeah, I know. It's driving me nuts, and I don't know what it is. It's almost like this. It's the Kyler wave, you know.
They cut me off with Panama earlier. Of course, we were talking about Bush and a 14-year-old girl, so maybe that's why I'm getting an interview with Noriega's lawyers here in a few. So maybe that's why they don't want me to interview Noriega's lawyers. You think that might be it?
Well, let's talk a little bit about that tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. It's a matter of fact, it's very, very scary. I've got a contact there who has a contact, a very, very reputable contact, who has some pictures of Bush Jr. with some 13, 14-year-old girls in a very naughty position, and some other senators hanging around there in the area. And these pictures have been quashed by Homeland Security, and Noriega is being shut up. He was taken before the court and started talking about some things, and the judge gagged him because he was going to be discussing his involvement with the CIA, him being on the payroll, what all the Central Intelligence Agency has done for that regime and what they're planning on doing. And the judge shut him up, and they whisked him out of the courtroom. And so now the only thing I have is hope to get with his attorneys. And I am going to interview his attorneys. How much they're actually going to tell me, I don't know. But the information they are going to be giving us is very damaging, very dangerous, not only to the regime, not only to the United States of America and this current administration, but also to me and Heather. So I'm playing it very close to the hilt and being very careful how I handle this one.
Well, exactly. And, well, listen, when it comes to me, I don't particularly care because they actually need a name to do anything, and I don't have one. Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah.
You know. And, well, you know me, I don't hold back in anything, especially when we're dealing with the pedophiles that we have to deal with on a, daily basis. I mean, what's happening now is these pedophiles are finally being caught out. You know, a shock to me would be a politician that wasn't involved in, some, scandalous child raping. You can do what you want, okay, but it's raping.
Well, the American public doesn't realize how often this goes on and how long this has been going on. They just can't fathom it. They can't swallow it. I don't blame them. I don't blame them. It's too far-fetched. They're going to have to wrap their arms around it, wrap their head around it. This is going on as we speak. I mean, people running around, they're ordering these prostitutes online, they're ordering these, call boys online, senators, representatives. It's the going thing. It's the end thing. It's what they've always done. It's a part of being a representative. It's part of being a senator. You have this ability to be able to do this and join these clubs where sacrifice of little boys is normal, sacrifice of little girls is normal. And the American public just cannot wrap their arms around this or their head or anything else. It seems crazy.
Well, it is crazy, and that's one of the standard modus operandi of those that are actually their masters, and that they get these people in precarious situations, where probably a lot of them wouldn't do what
Right.
What they're doing, and it's
Right.
only after peer pressure, urging, all the rest of it. So don't worry about it. No one's going to say anything. No one's going to care. And as soon as the first act is done, that's it. They're owned, because that information gets out. Their lives are ruined.
I can't quote the name, I don't remember, but a photographer that was up there with the Bush administration when they were ordering call boys up, and they had all this sex and stuff going on and all these parties with dildos hanging off the Christmas tree and all this stuff. This was going on with the Clinton administration too, by the way. They took pictures, and they had an actual historian that was following them around taking pictures, and when he decided to go public, he was actually an assistant of the main historian. Now, why would a person committing pedophilia, hanging dildos on a tree, representing the United States of America in the world, why would they want a cameraman following them around taking pictures? What a vain, stupid thing to do. But this happened, and it's happening now. And guess what? The guy ended up having a fatal accident. His brakes suddenly went out on a curve, and he's dead.
Imagine that, You might want to think twice about OnStar, guys. The satellite that can shut your car down. So if you're, trying to get away, hey, they can turn off whatever they want. You got to remember, your cars are computer driven now, and you might want to look into the actual processors that are in your cars and what they're connected to, as in, shutting your brakes off at an inopportune time, or
Yes.
Jamming your accelerator open at an inopportune time, and all manner of things. So, there's a plug for OnStar, the control agent.
And as we learned the other night, they can also, of course, listen to you anytime they want to. They have an on mode that it sounds when they come on, you hear it, and then they have a mute mode, which isn't really mute at all. They can just listen to you. If law enforcement wants to, they can hear you talk, of course, as you're going down the road. This has made many paranoid. And you can imagine.
It should. But again, you see, here's the thing. Oh, but it's such a convenience. If you have a problem, you lock your keys out of the car. You idiot! I've done it. I've been an idiot.
Me too.
And we can actually open your car, remotely for you. And again, there's your by free will consent police state that you said is such a great idea. Now try to turn the damn thing off and see what happens.
Yeah, well, as a person said on Facebook today, you can't turn your rights back on, then you can turn your privilege or your duty back on. Once it's all taken away, it's gone. You're not going to get it back. You're not going to barter for it. You're not going to auction for it. You're not going to beg for it. Once you've let everything go, it's gone. Unless you're doing what we're doing, waking people up, and they start to take back what was once theirs, what was once theirs by the government. The government is even trying to take stuff away from us that's already ours.
Well, that's the joke of it all. You see, I have but one contract in my existence between me and the all. That's it. And it all lives in my heart, as lives. It's complete, and you can call people give it all sorts of different names and whatever. So you can call it what you want, but to me, it's that's the all spark, the unknowable infinite,
I don't know if I sent you those videos. Damn it, I was going to. The farm video where they're taking them. The farm thing's getting out of hand, Kate. It's just it's really getting out of hand. Not even you and I are getting all the information. Of course, how could we? But there's farmers being run off their property. Their animals are being killed as we speak. It's terrible. It's horrible what they're doing. And nobody, not very many people are standing up for it. I noticed one of the vids we put up had 126 video shares. It should have had 100,000 shares.
126 million.
Yeah, people are just not that concerned about the farmers in the middle Walmart areas. The kids, the younger people that should be coming up and standing up, they're not that interested because they don't know where things come from. They don't realize that they come from milk comes from cows and tomatoes come from vines. People have to get out and work the farms. I think we need to do more educating on who all's involved or was involved before this industrial age came in actually getting out and doing the work and working in the field.
Well, that's exactly it. I mean, here's a quick lesson for all the kids listening out there. Walmart does not lay eggs. Okay?
No, they don't.
No, and the other side of that coin is, too, when you're talking about big pharma, you might as well take the pH and change it to an F, because there's another form of big pharma, and what they're doing is taking... one sec. Go ahead, Kyler.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, 1 part per million of fluoride is supposed to be added to the water. In many cases, you've got 2 parts, 3 parts, 4 parts per million. And all of these other toxins that are being put in the foods, slipped into the water, they're adding more and more and more as we go along, and people are just getting doped up, and they're getting kind of used to it. So the numbers aren't very scary anymore, especially this fluoride thing. And now up here in the Northwest, they're starting to dump drugs into the water. I've got a few videos I'll put up tomorrow on that. Literal psychotropic drugs into the water to calm people down. Now, this is something that would expect hundreds of thousands of people to rise up against, because we're talking about our children here. Kate and I were talking the other day about Big Pharma coming into the schools and doing some things with drugs and nurses, and now we don't even have to go to school. Now they're going to just start dumping it in the water system. You would think, hey, assume, to make an ass out of you and me, to assume, I'm assuming that there should be many people standing up against this and doing more research on this. I put up a list of food toxins the other day on my page, and nobody even touched it. I was amazed. I was really amazed when I put this list up. It had every known toxin and poison and chemical known to mankind. It broke everything down into its finer component, micro, macro. It talked about alpha, beta effects, talked about the biology, the physiology, the neurology of the drugs, and no one touched it hard. Literally, no one touched it. I did a story about the drugs being in the food, the mind control agents being in the food and the drinks. Talked about how deadly poison Diet Coke, Diet Pepsi, and all these other diet drinks are. Nobody hardly hit it at all. Kind of amazing. You would think that more people get excited, more people would rise up. But then again, who wants to be the first dove on the fence to be shot off? I'm starting to become that dove. I'm starting to want to become that dove. But it's sad to think if I jump out there and do something, that there's not going to be anybody behind me or beside me when I look around. Like I told Kate, we joked the other day about I was doing something one day and I looked around, everybody was gone. They were in the car. We were at an Occupy deal and I was getting harassed by the cops for interviewing some folks. And I thought I had my back. I thought these guys and girls had my back. And when I turned around and looked at them, bang, they're gone, And so you got to make sure when you go out there to get your head shot off that you're going to have some people with you that are willing to stand up and stand by your side and not run away. That's the biggest problem right now, is how many people can we amass to get together out there. The Occupy is kind of falling out and falling down up here. It's just not at all. A year ago there were 150, 200 people at all these rallies. And now when I go out, there's 7 or 8 people holding signs, and it's just really sad. Kate may have a take on that as to what we need to do to build a fire back underneath these folks. They've run everybody out of downtown up here. They've run all the homeless people out of downtown. They're making it illegal to sit. They're making it illegal to lean up against a wall. They're making it illegal to sit on a bench if you have a backpack on and you look homeless. And if anybody, including me, goes down there and starts handing out flyers and pamphlets talking about the rights of the people, I'm going to be the first one shot off the fence. I'd like to have 50 or 60 people with me so we could all go down at the same time. But that's been my biggest beef, is who's willing to stand up and get shot off the fence other than being on the air like Kate and I are. Who's willing to stand up in public and go out there and be shot off the fence and put in jail? Nobody wants to be put in jail, and I don't blame them. Jail's not a nice place to be. It's very confining. It's very scary. It's horrifying for some people. Some people commit suicide when they go to jail, and I don't blame them. I've been in jail, I think, 3 days in 56 years, and it was like hell for me. I'll never forget it. As long as I live, I'll never forget it. So, I don't want to run out there and just put a big sign on my forehead, come put me in jail, especially with my background as an investigative reporter, and especially the things that we're involved in now. I don't want them to get me in there and then start pulling all of this stuff up and start putting it in front of the jury of my peers, I guess you would say, a grand jury. I don't know how they would handle that. If it did come to a jury, what would the jury say? What if the jury was a bunch of folks who didn't believe in conspiracies? They didn't believe in all the things that we talk about. Well, guess what? I would look like a complete idiot, and I would look like a complete sociopath, and I would look delusional, and I would end up being locked away. And you all
right, well, let's put a positive twist on this, because I understand what you're saying, and I'm just going to change. Yeah, I know, outlining stuff, and well, I'm going to change the energy of it, because there are people out there like you, myself, Santo, Tony, Dean Clifford. He just did 26 days. I thought he was going for my record for solitary, but I still have 2 days on him. Dean, don't even bother. You can have it. I don't care. The point being, and I have looked down the barrel of a 9mm. So it's not. These are not.
Yeah, I have too.
Yeah, I know you have. These are not, fictitious scenarios that we're speaking about here. But I will share this. When they know that you know who you are, you enter into a different realm. I'm not talking a physical one.
Right.
Because when you start showing no fear, that's when they get scared.
Mm-hmm.
You see, universal law is real. It's very real. So is the physical universe. It's, I call it illusion, but it's because of the fact that I don't want people getting, so wrapped up in the meat stick and realm and environment. What I want them to do is understand that, yes, it's real, it's there, tap, tap, tap. The table you're sitting at, that's pretty solid.
Yeah.
But there's more to it than that. And what we've done such a bang-up job of doing is convincing everybody that, well, that's it. I mean, if you want proof of that, just ask an atheist. I get one time round. No, sorry, buddy. There's a whole lot more people out there that understand that when you're talking about the all, you're talking about spiritual, the spirit. I'm not talking spirituality. This is the purest essence of spirit. And, there are lots of us that, someone asked me a long time ago about, sticking your head out of the trenches. And I said, what are you talking about, sticking my head out? I climbed out of the trench unarmed, stood at the top of that trench, and said, I'm over here. And when people finally get that reality, they'll start understanding who they are.
I just wanted to let people know we were with them. I'm with them.
Oh,
and I know
yeah.
you're with them.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And, people are afraid. People are scared, and I don't blame them for being afraid because cops are
I
scared.
do blame them, Kyler, because they don't know.
No, new people. I'm talking about new people who are really. I've talked to a lot of good folks on your.
I was going somewhere else. I wasn't going where you're at right now.
It's scary, yeah.
Where I'm going at is this: you're infinite. There's no such thing as death. And as soon as people realize that, there again, everyone's stuck in the meat stick reality, right?
Yeah. It sounds good going over there to a lot of folks in the car, and I've been there 1,000 times. It sounds wonderful going over there in the car when everybody's all buttered up and they're tough and they're bang bang. But when they get there and they see the SWAT team and they see the cops with the guns, you've got like 8 out of 10 who go home. I mean, it's really true. I mean, people are really terrified, and they don't need to be. They don't, like you said, they don't need to be terrified. Get out of the car. Go up there, confront. Don't be belligerent. You don't have to be violent. You don't have to be crazy. But confront. Go to the front of the line and stand your ground and do what you came to do.
I'm not going to argue with that. I just want to do a quick shout out here. Pulsar just tagged me and was asking me why they can't hear the show. So if anyone listening right now could maybe tag me on Skype or Facebook, because I know we've got lots of regular listeners that are, part of the We Do This Together team, the crew, and that's how I know. Well, we're doing some, and I hate talking about numbers because that's not really the point of this, but we're doing some serious numbers on air right now, and I know that because of that, we've been hacked, constantly. I've been hacked pretty much since I got on the air. No shock there, and I know you have. And the other night I had Dr. Sam Muggsy trying to phone in, And the line that she was on was absolute garbage, and that was a phone line. Patrice was on a landline payphone. It was garbage. And Brett, who was supposed to be on, they hacked his Skype right out, so he couldn't join us. And
good God.
Oh yeah,
this
and
is while y'all on the air.
On the air. This is normal for us, though. But see, and this is one of the things, and I laugh at it. This is what they're reduced to with truth, because when you stand in the truth, and I can't say this strongly enough, when you finally stand in truth and commit to never yielding it, you enter the We Do This Together Untouchable Club.
Yes.
Universe absolutely loves a courageous being. And all you got to do is stand.
Why don't they come get y'all? People are asking me. It's because they don't want to stand out. They don't want to be recognized as doing that. They want to do it behind the scenes. They want to make us look crazy. They want to make us look like the bad guy, you know?
But yeah, it's like Tammy puts it so well. This is low intensity conflict, low intensity combat. And it's specifically designed to do that. It's about putting the fear into people, and you just got to stop buying it, you know? Thanks, Pat. Pat just tagged me. She can hear us fine, so that's awesome.
How has this affected you, Kate? This is something that I've been asked many times about you, and we've never talked about it. How has this really affected you to get completely off the radar? I know it had to be terrible in many ways.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was actually texting with my oldest daughter, who both my kids, as a result of this, and, of course, my soulmate as well, they knew where to attack me straight through the heart. I haven't hugged my kids in over a year, you know.
I mean, why? Why? Because they're somewhere else? Or?
Well, yeah, and, you know, they came at us with a SWAT team. They stole our home. They stole my car, my truck, countless possessions.
May I ask if that had something to do with the station or with your...
No, with me, just in general. For those that are listening new and don't know who I am, yeah, I'm Kate of Gaia. Also the individual that was standing in the video called Judge Bows to Sovereign. And that was a major, whether people know this or not, I know because of the repercussions that came out of it for me, I was immediately targeted as soon as I filed what was called a notice of intent or understanding an intent and a claim of right. That was May 26th of 2010. And by August, they were trying to serve up. They failed all three times. I decided just to go in on a special appearance and, to apparently dispute a ticket that was never written. More importantly, they actually wrote a ticket against my ex-wife, who hadn't lived there for over a year. This is how idiotic and I mean, they're bumbling fools, and the ones that actually believe their system is real are even bigger bumbling fools.
Yeah.
It's all based on deception. But, you know, and that was September 1st, 2010. You know, so here we are from May to September, and December I got tailed. We got some news recently with regards to an informant that was parasitically attached to myself and a number of others. And as a matter of fact, I just emailed that individual tonight. I know exactly who he is.
Parasitically attached how? Sexually, physically?
Oh well, I'm getting tailed constantly. Staking out my house, harassing me, pulling me over, trying to steal my car a couple of times before they stole it out of my driveway. The night kidnapped me in front of the house at gunpoint. Yeah, and here's the thing. I was talking about this last night. An essay that I'm going to be writing called "Who Are You Going to Call?" You know, it's like, who are you going to call when a crime is committed? And people say, well, the police. Well, what if it's the police that actually committed the crime?
Well, of course, that's our big problem up here. There is no one to call.
Well, that's it. So then we have to call upon ourselves and our own resources. And remember this, we are the many, and the only way that they can, break us down is to marginalize those that are speaking out. And there have been many that have been taken out, marginalized, destroyed. But there's a few stalwarts that go, I'm not going to take this. You've already stole everything from me.
Yeah.
And I'm talking a lifetime's worth of effort that they just, walk in and at gunpoint they steal it. And I went back and to the, quote, abandoned home that they kidnapped me from. I didn't even get back in the door that night. And because that's exactly what they didn't want, because they knew it was sovereign land. And at that point, I did have guns in the house. And if anyone were to come near my home armed, I would defend my family to the death.
Yeah.
And that's it. And they knew that. And again, what they cannot stand, though, what they hate is someone who is intellectual, that actually knows more about the system than they do. Mm-hmm. B, is polite, always in peaceful delivery of everything. And 3, fearless in the face of these dickheads.
Yeah.
And I've dealt with a lot of them.
It just, there was a question that kept coming up is how do you live now, and are you, is it difficult to buy food? Is it difficult to trade and barter and get out and make a living? Or
I can't. I mean, I'm basically out of resources now. I'm out of friends who has graciously, opened his home where I've got a place to sleep and a place to do the shows from, because he knows the value of the work that I'm doing. And knows what I've been through, and would I do the same for him? Absolutely. That was the hardest thing for me to get my head around, was because now I didn't have a place where people that needed me could come to, and I had that happen quite often.
Many have said, Kate, is it better to, they used to say, if you can't beat them, jarn them. Daddy was cool. Daddy'd say, if you can't beat them, jarn them, but at the same time, you're beating them. You're joining them. You're not really joining them at all. You're just making them think you're joining them. Know your friends and know your enemies even better type of thing.
Well, here's the thing, Kyler, and again, I'm going to go back to the virgin analogy, right? The position for me is very, very simple. I found the truth. It's like this. If you know that 1 + 1 = 2, and everyone around you say, no, it's 3, are you going to change your mind and join them? No. And when you find a truth, at least for me, my commitment was very, very, very serious. I made that commitment, and I will not yield it. I'm
with you.
I know you are.
There's a lot of questions that everybody has. Like, how hard is that? It's very difficult, and not very many people are going to go to that extreme.
No, and they don't have to. What they have to start doing is, let's get into the ether here. Let's talk about spirit for a minute. Let's talk about the all. What people have to do is start changing their intent, to stop agreeing with systems, understand it, and start doing the little things that start breaking it down. Because it's not in the physical actions that this is what people need to get. It's not in the physical actions of doing things. It is changing the intent, which always comes first, and the actions will follow accordingly to the level that you can handle. This is not, with me, I didn't have a choice. I didn't give myself the luxury of saying, well, if this doesn't work, I'll just fall back to this position. No. Because when I took a step forward in truth, I built a 20-mile wall, thick concrete, 100 miles high behind me, so that I had no choice, no retreat. And that's the position I stand in. Call me a stubborn Irish bitch all you want, because that's exactly what I am, and I will not yield from 1 + 1 = 2. And that's it. And if I die in that, that's fine. Then that's not my fault.
Lots of questions are coming in, like, what if you get stopped by a cop, and they say, what is your name? And you say, I don't have that name, blah, 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 do the whole thing. How do they look at you? Well,
the thing is when you enter into the truth realm, you, for lack of a better way to put it, you literally become spiritually invisible on the radar. And I know that from a physical experience that I had and what occurred afterwards. I won't get into that tonight, but it was pretty bizarre.
Like they just don't know how to deal with you when you act like that? They don't know what to do? It's not a protocol all of a sudden?
No, because it's not even that. Because when you get to a certain understanding, all right, and this is what it boils down to. This is so hard for people to get. But when you get to a certain level of understanding, you're standing on the side of creation, and you're not yielding the truth of creation.
Right.
that's when the universal laws really kick in, and there are certain forces that come into play. You know, I mean, I see the world, for me, in an entirely different way than most people I know, and that's okay. You know, if that's my perspective on it. But this is all based on my own experience, and all I try to do.
Is it any different there where you are compared to where I am here?
No, it's all the same. It's all the same. It's a police state worldwide. It was designed to be that way. And while everybody was busy getting distracted by their little, you know, buy at Walmart junk, you know, football games and bread and circuses, you know, Roman style. While everyone's asleep, system is happy, and the whole illusion of law and the rest of it, you know, kept the slaves in line. But what you're seeing now is a direct reflection of the awakening, because when I see, well, there, you know, Second Amendment this, and we're going to confiscate that, and all that is to me is an indication of how much more people are awake and how much panic they've got, and they're showing their hand at every turn. It is an evil regime. Here, I'm going to mute out for a second, let you talk. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to share something from the Kabbalion. I'm probably going to do this on every show for the next little while until it really sinks in. But so you go ahead. I'm just going to pull up the file.
Okay. Yeah. What Kate's saying is very, very important, and I'm surely learning a lot about a lot of things that Kate's gone through, and about how Kate has handled so many things that she's gone through over the last few years. I don't know exactly how many years she's been experiencing this, but I know it's been a while. And I know that she speaks from experience and not just reading a book or going to school. And experience is the best teacher. And as many know, I'm a former investigative reporter and still an investigative journalist, and we still do our part up here in the Northwest to dig deep down into these stories and try to get what the mainstream media does not ever get, or does not want to get, or does not want to publish or broadcast. And, you know, many of my friends have asked me, how can you just go off the grid? You know, how can you just quit everything? I mean, you won't be able to work, be able to buy a car on a note, or a home on a note, or anything. Basically, illegal in some stores. So it's very difficult. I know that there are many other things that you can do to show them that you're not going to back down and roll over. I think just get rid of the fear. Do not be afraid. I mean, I'll admit to it. Based on guy, you're still going to be a little fear. It takes to not being afraid. It sounds great. So, but it worked.
I don't know if it was on mine. Kyler, I don't know if it's on mine or not, but you want 20 seconds. Because they don't information as an element for yeah.
As we do on
Okay, we got back here. I got hacked right out of Skype. Bear with me, guys. So I'll just be a second. I'm gonna move over. Sorry, I'm at a place where I need to move around a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna bring Kyler back in. So I'm gonna actually. No, I was gonna go to a song, but No, tell you what, guys. So just bear with us. Thank you for hanging in there, Kyler.
Yeah, there you
okay.
are.
Yeah, I got zapped right out of Skype. So
yeah, it was weird, man. You were like robot, the robot thing.
Oh yeah, normal.
Wow, man, yeah, it's cool. No, I just put right on as if the show hadn't quit.
Well, that's the thing, and again, I pay attention to Facebook and Skype, and regular listeners to the show know what's going on. They just go, oh, Kate's getting their ass hacked again, so we'll just wait until until they get back, So usually we can do it within 2 or 3 minutes. Sometimes it's been longer than that, but I actually had to redial back into the show. Like I was not.
Yeah, I figured you would.
Yeah. So.
And I knew if I dialed in, I wouldn't be the host, so I'd have to wait till you got in to get in. So yeah, true.
No, that's all good though. Again, this is just silliness it's going to go on for a little bit, but the bottom line is we got them running, we got them scared, we got them exactly where we want them, and I'm going to say exactly what I need to say because I will follow my heart. Like I said, my deal is with Creator, and guess who owns that heart?
Mm-hmm.
Creator does.
And I was going to say earlier that I'm finding out here. I've been interviewing a lot of cops, and they really just fell off a turnip truck. They poor guys and girls. They don't have any knowledge of. And I've got some real close connections up here with cops, and they're just so dumb as a box of rocks. They don't follow what we follow, and they're working for a completely different cause and reason and philosophy and psychology. And when I talk to them in groups up here, like I did the other night, they're just like hanging there with their mouths open.
Well, again, you're going to get a lot of deer in the headlights because these guys, not only do they get the police training at the police academy. It's funny though, one little dickhead, Craig Nye, love saying that prick's name. Little Shetty, by the way, a soulless one. Anyway, I asked him. I says, you call yourself law enforcement, right? He says, well, yeah. I said, well, what law school did you go to? Yale, Stanford, Harvard? And I said, well, no, at the police academy. Oh, I see. So you get taught a couple of statutes, how to write a ticket, and they give you a gun. And I mean, this couldn't be more than foot four. Napoleon.
I told you about me getting stopped right the other day, and they ransacked the truck, and I didn't have my pills yet. It was noon. I was getting a couple of drinks from the store, and I was shaking, and he threatened to be in jail for impaired driving, and I didn't have my insurance with me. I was driving we had the wreck, so he was going to write a ticket. He was going to put the car in the AV in, and he was telling me, why are you shaking? And I said, well, if you really want the truth, then I'm a midget. I've done 2 full tours. I haven't had the PD. I said, well, yeah, dude, that's excellent. You want to tell more about your medical history? And so it went on and on and on and on and on. And there's 2 SUVs sitting across the street with black window morning. And I said, who are those dudes over in the SUVs? They were. I said, those 2 sitting right there behind you. Be smart with me. I said, look, do me a favor. Turn around. He said, don't tell me what to do. I just want to get out, okay? What you got to do, and let me get out. I said, if you'll follow me to the house, in the vehicle, Marion's got it right there. It was first in the front.
All right, so we're back on the air. Having the shit out of me here. Okay. I'm sorry. Did I hurt your little feelings, dogman? Here, put your thumb back in your mouth because it never left there. Obviously, you're still a crybaby. Anyway, oh, but you've got a gun, Mr. whatever you are. Or Miss, actually. It's kind of funny. We're talking with a friend of mine We're talking about that tonight. Similar situation and similar individual, and it was like a bodybuilding, one of the prison guards or jail guards, whatever the hell you want to call them. Anyway, she had arms on her bigger than my legs and tattoos and totally steroided up, and I just looked at her and said, "Geez, how long have you been trying to grow that penis?" And she was nasty. Now I'm going to try to bring Tyler back in here. There we go. See how, come on, guys, do it again. Show me how much your widow feelings are being hurt. Please.
Okay, peace.
Yeah, I was just, I know.
A day's work.
Well, again, just hang in there. As soon as I get back on the board, I got bumped.
I noticed our sync. I had my syncer on, and I noticed we both went exactly in sync at the same time. So
well, you're in Skype with me. That's the only drawback. If you called in separately, which I'm going to suggest you probably should do at this point.
Yeah. Okay, let me do that.
Call in separately, so if I get knocked off, at least one of us is still going, because we don't have Tony right now as that beautiful backup that I so desperately miss.
All right, call me in separately, please. Thank you.
Oh no, hey Kyler, you're gonna have to bring up the show and call in on the show page on the Skype. It'll reroute you through, and then I'll pull you up on board. Okay, so
I'll call in from the show page on it now.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
All right, so we'll get Kyler back on and see. Was it something I said? Probably. Here we go again from last night. I see the bug. Yeah, we were having a bit of a giggle on Skype last night. As bad as it gets. I mean, I still got a smile, and I got to tell you, every day is a fight to do that. Just to finish off what I was saying earlier with regards to the situation. No, this is what I was texting back and forth with my daughter. Says, no, I can't get a job. Not that anyway I've been employed, and I've got a far more important role as I took in the game to keep things going on. I think doing what I do has a whole lot more value, although the pay is a whole lot less, than flipping burgers at McDonald's. Think about that, guys. You want to talk about pay scale? That's just like it's. I got to be grateful for a handful of people that have actually helped literally keep me alive. I've used up my resources. I will say that 3 years ago, and I've been in the game for 3 years, so I was an intense sleeper, if you will. And at that point, I had over 5,000 ounces of physical silver saved up, a little bit of gold as well. Some of that was stolen when the house raided. One of my coin collections was stolen. Oh, we have Tyler here. Let me just bring him into the board. One of my good coins that was stolen by the lawyers. I'm just going to. Yeah, you're here. Just give me a sec. No problem. Just give me a sec. I had a full coin collection with my rarer, more valuable coins that KRMC, the New Market law firm, they're in Toronto as well. That they returned to me, and they actually admitted to having it, and they wanted me to quote sign for them. I mean, a little hard to do. They promised to have them, my collection delivered when they gave back all our stolen possessions from in the house, which we didn't get all back. There was probably about $15,000 or $20,000 worth of belongings that we never got back. I have full evidence of some of the stuff, all my scuba gear. As a general contractor, my one main saw, my large saw that was in the house, never got that back. Countless other things. There was still a lot of stuff in the house. Also, they emptied my bar, probably about between maybe $4,000 and $5,000 worth of stored food, freezer full. Canned goods, rice, you name it. When I went grocery shopping, anytime I would pick stuff up, I always picked up lots of extra. And we probably had about a 6-7 month supply of food in the house for not just myself and Sue and the girls, but for others that we would feed if they came over, and we had that happen quite regularly. So there's that. All the silver I said about, I'm down to basically a handful of quarters, and having been in that game for as long as I was, you can tell the manipulation of the market there, because here silver should be sitting close to $5,000 an ounce, and gold should be sitting probably I would hazard to say that silver would be a lot more because it's a lot scarcer than gold. It's 5 times rarer than gold now. But gold, based on the money printed, gold should be sitting probably around I'd say about $120,000 an ounce.
Yeah, very good point. Very good point. I heard from someone, don't know who it was again. I'm getting a little Alzheimer's, as I said. I'm kidding. I heard gold is really at $50,000, $53,000 an ounce. I don't know how all that works. I'm not a rocket scientist when it comes to gold. But
well, it's based on inflationary dollars. It's also based on what is it? They stopped reporting the M1 money supply listings, and basically, which is how the actual money that's being printed. They stopped reporting that back in 2008, just when Greenspan left. This was actually my field. This is what it was a hobby. I was into socioeconomic, geopolitical, and of course, dealing with a few legal things that came up, of course, and, kicking CRA, that's Canada Revenue Agency, kicking them down the fucking river. Bunch of corporate clowns that they are. Same with the IRS, same deal. They're collection agents for the IMF. These are not government agents. They are separate corporations. Every courthouse is a separate corporation, its own business. That's why they have hours of business on it. Every police station is a separate place of business. These are all registered in Washington, D.C. All this information is trackable. You can find, if you look up your local, go to the Securities Exchange Commission and, start punching some names in and wait till you see what comes up. And you're dealing with private corporations that have absolutely no power over people except that which people are willing to consent to. And if you consent to being a name in their system, well, they own your ass. So there you go.
Man. What can I say? This is really interesting. All of this is just beyond interesting. As many years as I've been doing this, it gets more interesting every day. There's never a dull moment, never a boring day in this business at all. I'm learning so much. There's too much to learn, really. I'm trying to focus on just a few things that seem to be most important when I'm broadcasting.
Here's the thing, Kyler. There isn't that much to learn, and I want to take that feeling that people need this, that, and the other. No, there are people like myself and Tammy and Tony and Santo and you and so many others that if you want to talk just on the legal side of things, that have actually taken this thing right to the core. The only thing people need to do is take the very few points we give them, go investigate it, and you're going to see what we're saying is absolute, unadulterated, right in your face truth.
Right.
And this is why people like us get marginalized. It's why we get attacked. It's why we get tailed. It's why they attach a parasitic mole as close to you as they can. That's why they buy houses behind your house to, survey you. This is why they tail you and follow you and do all this stuff. It's not because you're dangerous to the society. I was trying to help society. How dare I be peaceful, loving, truthful, and honorable? Well, how dare I? And as soon as that came across the board, everything we thought that you were, brought up to respect, like the priests and the ministers and the cops and the politicians, all over, they're all a bunch of packing fucking liars and thieves.
Yep.
And they don't want their little apple cart upset. And guess what? Kate's got some high-heeled boots, and she's kicked the fucking thing over. Remember that guy? I love this guy. He went into a building once. I think they called it a temple, and he walked in, and he kicked over all the moneylender tables. And it was the only time he ever set foot in a church.
Yeah. Yep.
And this one's going out to all the listeners. You get a Cupid doll if you can tell me who that madman, that freedom rebel was. So a lot of Cupid dolls just got handed out there. And this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a mirror of bullshit that we cannot, take any more from. It's time to smash the mirror. It's time.
What do you think about the 26 states that the governors have stepped forward and started their own volunteer militia, state militia, above and beyond the National Guard, because the feds were walking in, taking all of their equipment and running it over to the Middle East, and this has been happening over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, I was reading about that.
Governors finally just got fed up and said, what the hell with this? We're going to go out and start our own state militia, and now you can't take our equipment away. You can't take anything away. And furthermore, if you come into town, which a couple of them have already run the feds off, we're going to run you out of here. We're going to gun you out of here. You're not coming in unless we say.
Well, and that's it. And here's the thing: even with the governors being who they are, and not whether they understand fully. I mean, I look at what's his name, the ex-Navy SEAL governor of Minnesota.
Yeah.
I mean, he's out doing his thing, right? Jesse Ventura. He's out doing his thing, but he's still not really getting into the nitty-gritty. He's still dealing a lot in fear porn, but he's getting the word out.
Yeah.
So I look at governors the same way I look at him, in that, you know, they were put in these, you know, higher roles to play, but not, you know, weren't given all the information. So even in that ignorance, it works against system, because even those inside the system that are ignorant of it still think that they have this power. And what you're going to start seeing is all these supposed higher ups that are actually good people that are really trying to do their jobs and think in the same way that I'll tell you that it's a prime example of it. The deputy chief of police in the city of Guelph, where they kidnapped me and stole everything. He retired after 3 years, and this is an example of the ignorance that is, you know, placed upon the street level cop. Okay, and we're talking, you know, up to sergeants and whatever, because to be a deputy chief, you've got to move up the ranks a bit.
Yeah.
And what happened with him was he retired after 3 years as deputy chief because, and I got this information. That's the thing about being trans, is you get your brows done and you talk to your esthetician, who's just so happens to do the brows of, you know, the deputy chief. And you get all the information, right? And now here's a guy that as soon as he found out what was going on, he basically went suicidal. Went into depression because all the time that he was doing what he was doing, he thought he was doing his job, only to find out it was a fleece the people show when the chief told him what the fuck was really going on.
Yeah.
Now, how do you deal with that, with these Masonic pricks, with these Zionistic, you know, money-hungry? They're basically evil entities, and I know that the chief Rob Davis. You know, I happen to. Here's the thing: the city that I was in, I did a lot of charity work and performances as a musician, singer, songwriter. I was very well known, still am, in different ways. And on one event day, which was a big one for the city of Guelph, I was hosting a music event for Joe Golf Day. He was on the stage, but the same politician that I confronted, who was of course a lawyer, that would be I'll think of it in a sec. Anyway. I put these morons out of my fucking mind, because there's no room for that kind of hatred in there. I got the city mayor on the stage. I got the chief of police on the stage. I got a bunch of other city officials replete with their knee pads and freshly gummed up lips. You know, that's what they do, right? You know, get on your knees and you can have this table scrap. It's a bigger one than the ones below you're getting, but it's a bigger table scrap, and that's all these guys are dealing with. But the bottom line is this: you have some real genuine people that thought they were doing a real genuine job, and then when they find it out, it sends them off the deep end. Now, to his credit, he resigned and didn't want to be any more part of it, but to his discredit and absolute fucking dishonor, was he let a singing, songwriting musician take the heat for him when he had an ability within the system to take it down with the people's support, and that's what we're dealing with here. And what people need to understand is the vast majority, every cop shop, the higher-ups in there know exactly what's going on, because they're the ones that are doing the electronic fund transfers through the courts. They're the ones that are holding tickets for 3 days as contracts before they send them off to make them, quote, legal contracts and binding. Every courthouse is effectively a bank, and they don't do any. Their main transfer of money is all done through electronic funds transfers, and of course, who's it going to? Right back to their masters. Goes into the behind the scenes funds, the judges' funds. I mean, you've got judges that own jails. Look at the big scandal that went out when they were just picking kids off the street and getting whatever amount of money for them, and it was all money driven. These kids were innocent.
Yeah.
You know, and what did they do? They pulled the one guy out that was running the jail, and I think one of his subordinates, and they let them have it. But it doesn't. That's you know, you got a body full of scab, and what did you do? Pick one scab off and say you're all healed?
Yeah, one of the things I always like to drive home is there's not all bad representatives out there, and especially the freshmen. People seem to ask me a lot, are all the politicians belonging to the New World Order and this and that, and do they know about this and that? And I say, no, they don't. Some of them are completely clueless to this, because I worked at the State House, I worked in Washington, I worked in Austin. I've been there, done that for years and years, and I've also been undercover and behind the scenes both, so I know that there's a lot of really good, sweet, loving, kind representatives out there who think they're doing a wonderful job, but they need to be educated. And as I mentioned on your last show, I believe that we did together, I told you about the old boy, the old country boy that decided to wake up one morning and just send his representatives some stuff that we do and that we talk about, like HARP and the Fed and this and that and the other, Monsanto. And he got a call that night at 10 o'clock on his phone from that representative, and she said, "Oh, my God. Oh, my God. What is going on here?" And he informed her of these things, and she started asking questions around and started getting the boot, started getting the people turning their backs on her. So there's a lot of representatives out there that need to be educated, and that's one of the things that we're getting ready to do at the Eagle's Nest. We're getting ready to actually have a special page for representatives to tune into, and we're going to be emailing them, calling them, faxing them, writing letters to them, sending them DVDs with my ugly mug on it, and we're going to be talking about all these things and educating these freshman representatives. Whether it'll do any good or not, I don't know. But it's going to be very interesting, and what prompted my wanting to do this was that country boy who sent that representative some videos and her calling him at 10 o'clock at night and being sincere and saying, "I've never in my life heard these things and did not know Congress was involved in these things."
Well, that's, you bring home a lot of very, very valid points. And what we're dealing with here, I love the way Tammy puts it, what you're dealing with here in the most part, and for the most part, are useful idiots.
Yes.
They're given enough information to do their little robo-like job, and how dare you go in and do something that doesn't work with their little flow chart, which is what we do all the time because we're explaining stuff for what it is. But again, when you're dealing with people that are given just enough information to do their jobs and not enough information to understand what it is they're actually doing to their fellow brothers and sisters and themselves and their own families. These people are working so hard for their own slavery.
Yeah.
And what are they doing? Taking a paycheck at the end of the week, trying and hoping that they're going to get a raise. That way, okay, well, anyone in the courts or whatever gets a raise, that just means that people get fucked more. That's all. It's all based on tickets. It's all based on the bonds. Of course, we can get into the bonds if you want. I mean, that's where it all really goes back to. Follow money. And it's like someone that goes to jail. I mean, they're tapping the bond for $1,000 or more a day. And then of course you have the prison farms down in the U.S., right, where they're building fridges and doing all sorts of things for 35 cents to $1.25 an hour. Yeah, you want to compete with China? Then start picking up the young people that are well educated and everything else, and because they might have had a joint on them, put them away for a couple of. And they got themselves, not only do they got free labor effectively for building the stuff, but they're pulling out their bonds, their own personal bonds, tapping it for $1,000 a day. No, there's no money in prisons. All of the money goes back to the prisons. That's exactly. Oh, there we go. Vincent, good answer. Yes, you got it. It was Jesus that overturned the table. Thank you.
One of the other big questions that keeps coming up is, okay, so we're poisoning our babies. I have all the videos about the water with the baby bottles and the water and stuff. I have all the videos about the food now and all the contents and everything. Why aren't we standing up in mass because of this? We're killing our babies now. We're killing our babies, we're killing our old folks, our healthcare system is in shambles, which I'm an expert in healthcare, long-term care. Why aren't we standing up in mass? What is that main thing keeping us from getting together and standing up like all of these other third world countries are in the streets in the hundreds of thousands, turning over buildings and burning buildings and bombing buildings and throwing rocks at cops? Why haven't we done that yet here in the good old...
Yeah, well, see, that's exactly what we don't want, because that's exactly what the elites in the system want. They want an excuse to clamp down.
Well,
they're going to have. Hang on. They're going to have to be the ones to make the first move.
America hasn't made that educated decision like you have, though. I'm just saying, in general, tell me why you think we haven't, because America's not thinking like you are. Okay, they're just not doing it yet. So why do you think they're just not doing it yet? Because they're not aware enough yet? Because they're not fed up enough yet? because they don't believe what's going on yet?
Well, there's a whole lot of different layers here. Yeah, well, again, the only time that people wake up is when it affects them directly. Fortunately, there are many of us that woke up before it affected us, so we at least had an opportunity to get in the game and do some serious damage before we got marginalized. And of course, here I am over a year later, being homeless and literally surviving by the skin of my teeth at this point. And here's another thing. Here's an issue that I have. I have such a hard time even asking for people to donate or gift or whatever, because I don't ever want to come across as someone. This is a catch-22 of catch-22s. I don't want anyone thinking that I'm doing this to make money. I'm not. It's only cost me about $1.5 million. You want to ante up? There it is. No way in hell doing this that I would ever
talk about that issue with you, because you already know my feelings on that.
Yeah.
What about so they're killing our babies? We should be more concerned about this whole thing. We should be more. Our feathers should be a little more ruffled. Do you think it has anything to do at all with the investigations I've worked with, the drugs being in the water and in the food and all the things that even you and I have no idea about that are going on? Mind control, do you think that has something to do with it?
It's got everything to do with it. The vaccines. Yes. I mean, I think, was it NASA? I can't remember which government agency. They were talking about vaccines, and what they're introducing into the vaccines is actually a chemical that will shut off the aggression in the DNA. So it dominates people with a jab. So you want to get your vaccines at the Walmart with an idiot that doesn't know what anaphylactic shock. I'm trying to remember. Anaphylactic shock. Thank you. Yeah. Sorry, I had tongue twisting tonight, my friend. Oh my! I just got so much I want to share. If you eat processed foods, you're eating 4 taxed foods. They're taxing your body to death. You're acidic. You are cultivating cancer by design, and of course these things are introduced in through the vaccines as well. They're dead, but it doesn't matter. They still carry a signature that can activate. All right? If you've got it in your body, you'll activate it.
Is there any way, Kate, to know how many of us there are?
Oh, we far outnumber them, and this is one of the things. And I call it mainstream media because it's not mainstream anymore. I call it meat stick media for the meat sticks. What we're dealing with now is mainstream. This is the mainstream of truth that people are dialing into. I mean, the ratings for CNN and the rest of the Fox or faux news or whatever the hell you call them are falling through the carpet because people aren't buying the bullshit anymore. Yeah, there's some people still going, CNN tells everything, and that's fine. They're your uber ultra sleepies that'll never wake up until something really drastic happens. But
CNN was recently cited. I'm sure you know this old story, but it had been cited again for giving positive press and promo to third world dictators to make them look more positive and building a brand around them, accepting over $10 million at a time to do positive promos for third world regimes. What do you think about that?
Again, when you understand the entire media is owned by 6 conglomerates.
Yes.
And they're all bought and paid for. I mean, I know firsthand, dealing with reporters and newspapers, what they could and couldn't print based on the formatting of how the newspapers were set up. It's set up in a certain way that you have to do something, It is all corrupt, guys. Everything around you thought is real and true, it's all bullshit. And what's happening are people are starting to see it.
And that includes healthcare system, education system. That includes the industrial system. It includes everything. Pharmaceutical.
Yeah, but don't call it healthcare because they're the.
Well, you know what I mean.
Let's call
sick care. The sick care system.
That you're killed in the slowest possible, most expensive manner possible, and that's exactly what Pharmageddon is all about, right? So you want to pop the pills, expect the ills. That's how it works, guys. There is no two ways about it. So people got to get educated, but here's the good news. There are so many more of us now than I ever dreamed possible. And you can see this on the Meat Stick media. You know, you'll see the videos of downtown Mexico City with 1 million people protesting. You'll see it in Spain, you know, but it's all on the internet. You're going to find these videos. I mean, when you had you talked about Occupy, there's another COINTELPRO move. Again, it's about getting everybody into a group so that they can marginalize it. You know, they better yet, they don't even take out the leaders. They plant the leaders.
Yeah.
They said it clearly. We will lead every revolution against us.
The other major problem is censoring all of our information that's going to these other countries, and people not standing up against that either. And we should be non-violently protesting that to the top of our lungs, and nobody is. If you'll go on what is that site, encyclopedia site, Wikipedia. If you'll go on Wikipedia and you speak Spanish at all, I want you to just experiment with this so you'll believe me. Prove it to yourself. Go on there and find a good story or a good analogy of the New World Order or any kind of conspiracy theory, and run it in Spanish and come back to me and say, oh my God, what the hell is going on here? Run it in any language that you might suspect we shouldn't be talking to these countries about, and come back and say, Kyle or Kate, oh my God, what the hell is going on here? Nobody's looking at this. They're only getting half the story, and they're adding stuff to it in the foreign language, and nobody's picking up on it.
Well, and don't say nobody's picking up on it.
Well, I didn't mean. I said
no. I'm gonna share. This is. Yeah, no, they are. I mean, I work with Johnny at QL Television, and the Spanish community is waking up hardcore and fast. And something else. This is why it's critical to get Santo Bonacci to Ecuador so that he can do this documentary in Spanish, Italian, and Portuguese. Okay? So, guys, you know, stop by bonaccithefilm.org or .com. It's bonaccithefilm.com, I believe. And stop by, and if you can help out, you know, he's heading there for the 1st of April, I believe, or first couple of days in April. And, you know, some of the stuff's been taken care of, but he's going to be out of the loop, you know, in terms of being home. You know, he's got rent to pay and stuff like that. But it's not only his living expenses while he's away, it's to maintain his wife and puppy dog, of course, got to have the puppy in there, while he is away, to make sure that she's taken care of as well. You know, so this is a much bigger picture, you know, so...
Yeah, and any of you big investors out there want to buy some land in Panama, I've got 250 acres there in Panama. You could build a bunker, you could build a health spa. I don't really care what you build, but give me a call if you want to buy that Panamanian property. It's really in a good spot, surrounded by former presidents and dictators and even some of our fine senators here. And it's beautiful country. I can send you pictures of it. They're wanting me to come down there and build underground city. But who the hell's going to get the money for that? I don't know. I suggested we build a health spa for rich billionaires and just go down there, and I could be the water boy and just retire. But that's, you know, who knows? We'll see. But that Panamanian property is there. George Lascano is in charge of it. If you guys are interested in getting away from here to a kind of a neutral, believe it or not, kind of a neutral country, they've asked us to come down. Kate, they've asked you to come down anytime we want to get the hell away from here. So we'd have plenty of protection down there, and they want me to run the radio station from Panama. What a hoot. Didn't mean to interrupt you, but that just came up.
No, that's fine. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, don't expect me anytime soon until the system's down, because until it does, I'm kind of very limited in what I do. And that's the other problem with being as high profile as I am. I am definitely a target of interest. However, they can't touch me, but at the same time, I'm not going to go out of my way to give them any reason. Now, I found that Kabbalion reference that I do want to read, because people need to hear the truth.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, and so I'll bear with me. It's a paragraph and a bit. All right, much of these inner teachings is held by the Hermeticists being too sacred, important, and even dangerous for general public dissemination. The intelligent student may recognize what we mean by this when we state the meaning of spirit, as used by Hermetists, is akin to living power, animated force, inner essence, essence of life, etc., which meaning must not be confounded with that usually and commonly employed in connection with the term, i.e. religious, ecclesiastical, spiritual, ethereal, holy, etc., etc. To occultists, by the way, for those that don't know that word, it means hidden. For the ones that are seekers of the hidden. To occultists, the word spirit is used in the sense of the animating principle, carrying with it the idea of power, living energy, mystic force, etc. And occultists know that that which is known to them as spiritual power may be employed for evil as well as good ends, in accordance with the principle of polarity. A fact has been recognized by the majority of religions in their conceptions of Satan, Beelzebub, the devil, Lucifer, fallen angels, etc. And so the knowledge regarding these planes has been kept in the holy of holies in all esoteric fraternities and occult orders, in the secret chamber of the temple. But this may be said here, that those who have attained high spiritual powers and have misused them have a terrible fate in store for them. And the swing of the pendulum of rhythm will inevitably swing them back to the furthest extreme of material existence, from which point they must retrace their steps spiritward, along the weary round of the path, but always with the added torture of having always with them a lingering memory of the heights from which they fell owing to their evil actions. The legends of the fallen angels have a basis in actual facts, as all advanced occultists know. The striving for selfish power on the spiritual planes inevitably results in the selfish soul losing its spiritual balance and falling back as far as it had previously risen. But to even such a soul, the opportunity of a return is given, and such souls make the return journey, paying the terrible penalty according to the invariable law. What goes around comes around. Expect it.
Wow. Karma, here we come.
Yeah, well, it's the law of rhythm, based also in combination with the law of polarity and law of attraction. I mean, this is where all 7 cosmic laws line up. And if you have attained a high spiritual power, which some beings on this planet have and are using it for evil intent, they have got a terrible fate in store for them. This is not an if or a maybe. This is guaranteed. This is how the universe works. This is how creation corrects itself.
Well, I talk about this a lot. You see, people think they're going to escape all of this. They believe that, hey, I'm just going to die. They've got several different ideas about science. They believe, oh, well, you know what? I'm an elitist. I'm rich. No big deal. Have, taken a few advantages over a few people. But I'm just going to die, and then I'm going to not reanimate. But, in fact, I'm going to just disperse into the cosmos and become, one atom will become a part of a trillion things, and another atom a part of another trillion things. Who cares? I'm never going to be conscious again, so why am I worried?
Oh, that's a big mistake.
I said, though, that's the majority of thinking. That's
I know, it's crazy.
Skull and bones,
yeah.
Skull and bones, the elitists, the 4,000 Bilderbergers. The 4,000 in the Trilateral Bilderberg Corporation. 4,000 people run the world, by the way, folks, if you were interested. 4,000 people run the world, okay? And those 4,000 people have honestly got it in their mind that they are God and that they are the controllers of the universe and that they're mad scientists and that when they check out of here, that's it. They're going to get all they can get while they're here. They're going to cram all they can cram in the bank. They're going to feather their nest for their offspring. And when they leave, fuck it. It's over. Who gives a shit? Very carnal, very cold, very callous, and very scientific, okay? And so the rest of us who believe in some kind of a spiritual journey, we're thinking differently. And I'm thinking, hey, you know what? There must be some kind of punishment for all of this. There must be some kind of retribution. You shouldn't be able to get away with 1,000 or 1,000,000 murders and ripping and robbing people right and left and just be able to get away with it and die and be peaceful, be gone. Doesn't make any sense. If that's the kind of world we live in, then I'd probably be out belching and bullering people.
Well, yeah. Again, when that's the thing about evil, though. It has to destroy itself based on that exact premise. If everybody was out destroying, well, look what we're doing to our Mother Earth here, and all for the sake of getting to the Walmart on Saturday morning. It's funny. I was watching a guy just coming back. Oh yeah, there it is. There's the Saturday morning program. Just going out, comes back with a bag of junk. because you got paid on Friday. And again,
Yeah.
a bag of junk is especially if it's made in China, is going to last a week or two, maybe a month, and then it's gonna get tossed in landfill. So all we're doing, actually, guys, save yourselves some time here. Entertain yourselves this way. Go out to a landfill site, dig a hole every week after you get your paycheck, and throw a couple of $100 in the hole and bury it.
Of course.
Because that's exactly where it's going anyway.
Yeah.
Don't delay the inevitable. Just fucking get it done.
Yep.
And then you might have an understanding of what value is. And here's something else. If you want to see the real change going on in this world, and I posted this on Facebook yesterday, and by the way, it looks like my Facebook page is the chat room. Thanks, guys. We're having issues with Sync. It got hacked, and even my computer freezes up to try to get to the chat. So it's very frustrating. We're working on that round the clock. So anyway, where was I going? I talked about when you want to see. When you want to know there's change is when an individual who's, been so self-spoiled, I'm going to go to, Starbucks and get myself an $8 latte, and of course that's gone in half an hour or whatever. Instead of doing that, the change that I'm looking to see is that individual, instead of going in and feeding another Zionist organization, taking that money and maybe stop at the grocery store and pick up a few things, or stop in at a deli, get something healthy, a sandwich and a drink or whatever, and give it to someone homeless on the street.
Yeah, that's what we do here.
Yeah, we talked about this the other night. These are the things that we need to do instead of being the selfish corporate slave dog pricks and bitches that we've become. That's why I want nothing to do with it. That's why I have such a hard time. I have never been this close in my existence just falling off the face of the earth. And that's only for want of trying to survive here.
What do you say, Kate? What do you say to the naysayers? What do you say to the devil? Let me be the devil's advocate and say, Kate, you're just the way you are because you're mad, you're angry, and you've had problems in your life, and you lost all your money, and you're not telling the truth about it, and you're just pissed off that you can't go out and make $1 million or $2 million. What do you say? There's a lot of people out there that bombard you and I both with this kind of shit. Believe it or not, there are people out there. The critics are out there for us.
Yeah, well,
what do you say? What do you say to that? Hardcore, face to face. How do you answer that?
Okay, well, if that were the case, then I wouldn't have even bothered starting on this journey a few years ago. Like I said, I'm new to the game. I'm only 3 years in here, but I had a successful business. And that's the thing too. I can't even do that because I stole my truck and all my high-end tools. Good cops, eh? You gotta love these pricks.
So you're saying possibly that you would go out and earn some money if
I can't now. I can't now because this.
You did kind of allude that you might if you said, well, I can't even.
No. Okay, no. Let me get it through right because you're missing what I'm saying here.
Okay.
If I had made that choice, I would never have started on this path to begin with.
Right.
That's the point I'm making. This path cost me a lifetime's worth of work and energy, my family, everything that I knew to be real in my life. And if you want a dollar, I wanted about $1.5 million worth of my life and savings, beyond that, actually, based on the stuff stolen. And then, so yeah, if I was in this for the money, I wouldn't have even started. We
got rid of $270,000 with you, so we're up there. We're not near where you are, but we got $270,000 to get where we are off the grid. Well, get out of contracts.
Yeah, I'm thinking with you. I was signed to Nashville. I had a music career waiting for me, but I wouldn't sell out. I've had many opportunities in my life where here if you just do this, it's sorry, I don't make deals with the devil. I follow my heart. If somebody wants to take over all my songs and
somebody might say that's very self-defeating. That you're so wonderful. You're such a wonderful person with a wonderful personality that you would be so much better off if you were just a little bit ingrained in the system without bowing to it or without worshiping it or without becoming it, that you could do some real good, better good by being out there and having a little, being a little part of the system,
I made a deal, Kyler. My deal was I'm all in.
I wouldn't be Kyler Davenport if I wasn't asking you these questions.
No, and that's why I'm answering the question in that way. For me to try to explain that to people, the level of commitment and where I've been my whole life, walking in a very different path than most quote average people. Try being a two-spirit. It's a whole lot of fun in being in terror of yourself for a lifetime, still to a certain degree, right? But at the same time, if I can't be true to me, I can't be true to creation, and that makes me an antichrist. And if you're worshiping Babylon, you are an antichrist.
I couldn't imagine going as far as you have yet.
Most people can't.
Because of my, the things that I have to do, the things that I need to do.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I'm with a couple of friends. I'm visiting a friend right now with a friend, and this individual had their house stolen as well. And and you want to talk about fight. You want to talk about standing to one's ideals and one's commitment to going, no, this system's got to come down because there's too many other people. See, if I was doing this for me, I would have been fighting to get my house back. And really, the only thing, because I know it's all bullshit, but there's things that are going to be coming that are. I'm just waiting to spring the trap. Yeah. They don't know what's coming, and I'm a patient bitch. I don't. Even when I was going through everything, I was learning at lightning pace just to stay ahead of these monkeys. Yeah. But I'll tell you right now, I've had a year and a bit to think about it. I had 28 days in solitary to compile my heart, to get it back into shape. And I'll tell you, I'll give you an example of where I come from. When they finally relinquished me from the court, they wanted me to report for probation one day, right? Just had to report once. So I thought, I'll play along because I want to put some more garbage paperwork in. They messed up the paperwork, by the way. They put the wrong birth date, so they fraudulently cashed a bond in their system. And I've got that, and it's already on the internet. They can't time jump that one, and they can't do it again anyway because I'm aware of the time jump. So they don't play that game with me anymore. Yeah, I talked about that last night. So listen to last night's show, and you'll hear that story. But the thing is, I'm very patient, and all things in their time and all things for a reason. And I'd rather set up all the ducks in a row to take them all down with one bowling ball. And that's a domino effect, right? And we're there. You got people like Tammy Pepperman and other, well, see, there's not many others I can talk about in terms of legal fiction that truly gets it to the ethereal level that Tammy gets it, I get it. Handful of others get it, but get yourself. I get the joy of working with a lot of people that have been fucked royally, that have had their lives trashed and destroyed, have been marginalized the same way that I have, and we're just not going to take it. But we're very patient. We're very, very, very patient because if we make the move, they won't know what's going to hit them, and that's the game I play.
Why isn't common law as important and prevalent and out there as it should be?
Well, because that's exactly what they don't want, you see, because when you're talking about divine common law, that's the golden rule. Do unto others as you have them do unto you. But here's the magic of the law of rhythm. If you wish harm upon someone, then that means that you're wishing harm upon yourself, because golden rule says so. Everything here works equal and opposite. So if you're wishing love upon someone, then that's what's going to come back. I'm going to give try to share where my perspective comes from.
I've seen
it is. Well, I got to tell you, Kyler, and I'm one special. I'm a singer-songwriter. I learned a long time ago. I've been through enough hells on this planet that I knew I could stand. And I don't expect anyone to do what I did, but they don't have to because this is my puzzle piece. I've already solved this for the consciousness. Yeah. What people have to do is take their own piece to see what they have to solve, and really, all people have to do is, a lot of us are standing holding high ground on the hill. We're not asking you to, charge down the hill. No, we just want you to stand here with us, and anything that anyone does in terms of support and ether, thoughts, hearts, compassion, right, matters more than they realize. It is a mental universe, so you got to get compassion on. You see, because when people are so fixated on this system and so distracted, it's damn near impossible for people not to have fear of it's all about fear of loss, right? Lack and loss. Mm-hmm. And once you overcome that, for me, this was never a materialistic walk. Never. You know, as long as I can remember, I've always been on a spiritual search. I remember the day I was born, and I know from that point, I for whatever reason, I kind of got here more awake than most, I guess. I don't know. But my path was different.
Oh, I want people in the audience to know that money is not evil. Money is not bad. It's what we've done with money, and it's the people that have controlled the money that have made it look bad. I don't want anyone in the audience to think that money is bad, or bartering is bad, or having a stick to trade for a rock is bad.
We work with what we have to work with, no question, and that's one of the reasons why I have such disdain. But at the same time, unfortunately, this planet, most of the people on it don't understand that there is complete abundance, and that you don't need to be working for a paycheck, and you don't need to be charging money for stuff because it's all there.
Locked up. It's all locked up in someone's closet. That's the problem. We've gone over this. We've studied this. I've written 1,000 articles on it. You know, it's the problem with everything that's supposed to be everyone's is it's all locked up in someone else's closet, or garage, or bedroom, or attic, or behind a locked fence at a corporation. You know, private property. You know, we're back to communism. We're back to the manifesto. You know.
Well, it's as simple as just starting to say no, and I'm not talking to I'm going to stop paying my mortgage. Well, I did because as soon as I discovered that it was pure fraud, I was already paid for. See, there was my deal. I was all in. I said okay, and I made the deal that once I find the truth, I will stand it, as hard and as gut wrenching as it is. And I got to tell you, for anyone that wants to question me, well, maybe if I could bottle the terror that I've lived in for the last few years, lifetime actually, and just hand it to them, they'd certainly have their picture, you know.
Let me tell you what a dynamic show, and I don't care if you do it or we do it or we both should do it. A dynamic show would be to bring on a corporate lawyer like the one that I deal with worldwide. Very, very, very intelligent, very smart, have pulled me out of a lot of jams undercover, have worked with me and dealt with me for many, many years against a common law lawyer or with a common law lawyer, and then a citizen.
Kyler, you bring a lawyer on with me, I will fucking shred him and or her. Better yet, get a judge or two, because I will own their ass upside down and backwards.
I know you wouldn't do that to Don because he's my best friend and he's helped me so much. So I'm not talking about someone that would be.
Then I will ask you right now, if you like Don, do not bring him on with me, because I don't fucking care. You wear a lawyer's suit, you are shredding material for me.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying it would be a good show anyway to do.
Well, maybe you'll do that one-on-one with him, because I'll tell you right now, and I'm very adamant about this, because the lawyers know exactly what's going on.
Yeah, I know legalese. I know all about it. I don't talk a lot.
No, and again, this is nothing against you. It's nothing against your friend. I am just telling you point blank, honest, what I will do, and I don't care if it was my own mother. I would shred her. Because I will not tolerate bullshit, lies, and garbage. I will not stand for humanity getting beaten down. I will not stand for the fact that children are getting raped and murdered and trafficked every single day. Because you look at your congressmen, you look at your senators, they were all fucking lawyers. You look at your president who doesn't have a bar card. So now go ahead, ask me what I feel. Ask me what I really feel about lawyers.
No, not necessarily. I understand. But I still think it would be a good show. I'm going to push. I think it would be a good show to bring on, if you could just restrain yourself a little bit.
No, I won't restrain myself, because I'm going to ask the questions that I know will not answer.
Oh, yeah, they will. Very intelligent, I'm sure. I'd like to bring a common law attorney on with a corporate civil or criminal litigator. Let's just say criminal litigator.
If they are a member of the bar, I have a chainsaw. I'm telling you right now, I'm being upfront and honest with you, Kyler. Do not do it. If you have any respect and love for your friend, that's fine. I have no problems with that. I wouldn't
do it with Don then. I wouldn't do it with Don.
No, you better not.
Find some other poor sap.
Find a useful idiot with a bit of an ego, because I really love chewing them up and spitting them out like the fucking garbage they are. I love doing that.
But I think the audience would enjoy that, and I also think it would bring out a lot of education. I think it would bring out a lot of enlightenment. I think it would bring out a lot of debate. I think it would bring out a lot of truth, and I think it would be entertaining, and I think it would be powerful to actually.
Oh, I guarantee you. See. Look what happened just mentioning lawyer. Katie Pottymouth kicks into full gear because that's my passion. I'll tell you, even CBC Radio, the main show that they this is going back 2 years ago now. Right after the Judge Buzz video, they called me up from CBC Radio Canada, and we're talking the main radio show wanted to interview me, Andrew Patterson, who works with ITCCS. He's the main guy on the site there with Kevin Annett. They wanted to interview him and bring on a constitutional lawyer. And you know what I said to the girl that was screening us for this? It never happened. They had us booked for Wednesday.
Yeah.
Called me Tuesday and said we're going to have to reschedule it. Never heard another word. They were going to bring on a constitutional lawyer, and I said, sure, bring one on because I'll shred them. They wouldn't even put it on. That's mainstream radio. Government owned. Gee, I wonder why they didn't want me on the air, huh?
Well, of course, yeah. I just think a lot of these questions, the audience has a lot of, including myself, has a lot of questions about common law versus legalese and criminal law and civil law.
It's all fiction. It's all corporate. It's all admiralty. It's all
well. It's all something that most people are dealing with in the mainstream.
I know,
and
I'm trying to tell you what it is, though. It is all Lex Mercentorium. It comes out of. We're going back to Phoenician law.
Yes, I know.
I'm going to sit with you one day for a couple hours, and I'm going to explain to you exactly what all legal is. It's all merchant law. It all revolves around the law of the high seas. Slave master.
I'm familiar.
Criminal is nonsense. There is no criminal law. It's all civil.
Yeah.
Civil's mercantile. You talk about common law. Well, here's the thing. In the Old West, common law worked quite well. Somebody rustled your cattle, you went out and shot them, and they'd give you a pat in the back and say, thanks, you saved me the effort of having to do it. That's common law.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to see much of that right now. That is the law. Really, for me, it's all about honor.
No, I'll agree with you. The lawyers have fucked up everything in the universe. I mean, literally fucked up everything in the universe.
Well,
name a corporation, name a project, name anything, an event, name a special event. Even you and I go to a fucking cakewalk. There's going to be a fucking lawyer there at the library.
You got it.
Fucking everything up.
Yeah, exactly. And now ask me why I'm a little leery about Opt and another Tookie giraffe.
Yeah.
Ex-lawyer? There's no such thing as an ex-lawyer. They swore an oath of allegiance to the crown. There are 3 oaths that they swear. Secret oaths.
Yeah.
And their master is the City of London Corporation.
Yes.
The British Accredited Registry.
Yeah.
Okay? So, and that's an ethereal bond. And, they're not going to cross it. Anyway, I'm just checking. Holy mackerel. Boy, we got going there, didn't we?
Yes, we do.
That's why I love talking with you. Got a little less than 8 minutes, so we're good.
Wonderful information coming out tonight. And it just gets better and better every show we do, if we're not hacked.
Yeah, but that's when you know you got a good one, when they are hacking. And it looks like the widow babies that were so offended stopped hacking.
Yeah, I've got this program I told you about in secret about my project. I'm trying to get my invention out there. If that comes across, I'm going to send you some cash, and I'm sure there's a lot of other people that have tried or would like to, and you're going to take it, or I'm going to come up there and we're going to fight in the middle of the street.
I did get into meditation on that. If people do send something, I am eternally grateful for the gift. I've just not one to ask.
Do you have a PayPal account?
I have a friend that does, yes.
Good. Okay, good. That's good, because when I get this damn project on the board, we're going to buy Facebook and throw it in the garbage can, you and I both, and then we're going to build a new one. No, I'm serious. This is a billion-dollar project I'm working on now. It's a multi-billion-dollar project, and if it goes through, it's going to make us. We'll be able to reach a whole lot of people. I was talking to real quick. I know we got 4 minutes left. 5. I was talking to Panamania today, Panama, and they're wondering why we don't go mainstream with our information, with our intel. And I'm like, well, that's a good question. I mean, even for a bright guy like me, it's something to ponder. Why don't we go mainstream? What is mainstream? How could we reach more people than Alex Jones? You know, Alex Jones, whether you like him or not, he's building a fairly good audience. Yes, he fucked up with Pierce and all that, but you know, why aren't we getting more mainstream? Because we don't have the money for the trunk space. We don't have the money for the bandwidth. We don't have the, you know.
You know, and there's another great example. Someone like Alex Jones, right? He doesn't really do the research. He's got producers doing all that shit for him. All he has to do is drive to the station. And
that's good. I wish I begged for interns up here that would be able to hand me some shit that I asked for and could tell them what to get. But hell, people are too damn lazy and they don't want to volunteer anymore. I'm sure you've had that up there. People are not running out of the closets to volunteer. They're not banging down Kate and Tyler's door to learn radio. You know.
No, and yeah, here's the thing too. I mean, you have Tammy hosts her own show. She hosts, her and Pat, you know, host and produce the show. I host and produce my own shows.
Yeah, we do ours.
Same with Santu. For the most part, I'm the one that's producing because I'm the one running the platform. And we now have, here's some great news. I love this. Talk about a growing team. We have Greg from In5D starting a week Monday on the Monday night slots, while Tony and I are doing the QL television one. So we're, you know, running the platform 7 days a week, and what a beautiful addition to the, you know, the Truth family. I mean, Greg was one of the very first people I came across in terms of a grander awakening. Like I said, I'm just new to the game. I'm as shiny new in the awakening as you can imagine, and people are actually dumbfounded by, you know, what I've already done and what I know. It's just, well, because I made the choice, and that's the only difference. I've made the complete choice. I didn't go give me your take before we get off the air again on. I'm getting all these thousands and thousands of damn hits that are all real. Yeah.
But nobody's responding like I asked you on the last show, and you gave me an answer. It was a pretty good answer. Why don't people respond more to the wonderful things they say out there in post? But are they doing things? Are we affecting that many people? Hell, I've got thousands. I'm over 1 million now in extended family hits. Exactly, and that's what we're doing, and that's the whole idea of we do this together. They don't have to run over to the house and knock on the door for us to be effective.
No. This is the whole thing. This is about changing the consciousness. Everyone still thinks it's a meat stick that they have to actually physically go somewhere. No, your mind is so powerful. It is all universe. It's just a matter of shutting up the distractions long enough to listen to that higher stuff of you, creation, the all, to get guidance. That's it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I mean, I'll send you our analytics. They're going through the frickin' ass roof.
I'm gonna do one show of work called, instead of outside the box, I'm gonna call it outside the meat stick.
Yeah.
You know, and that way, and I'm not being derogatory. What I'm trying to the human body, it's a galaxy universe into itself. It's beautiful. It is the penultimate creation of this universe. I mean, in terms of body and form.
Did you read on my eagle's nest? I asked 2 crooked sheriffs to come on, and they refused me to the nth degree.
Oh, I can't imagine why they'd want to, you know.
Not the good sheriff. The guy that's running against is coming on with me, but the crooked one who's owned the town so many years, he ran like hell. He's got to get away from me, man. He said the next time he calls here, find him.
Well, I do. Hey, speaking of sheriffs, I do have one notch in my my glitter belt, and that was 2 weeks into my solitary confinement. The chief of police at Guelph, Rob Davis, got us handed to him and kicked out of the position. They say he retired, but that's bullshit, or resigned. He had no intentions of giving up his god seat where he could swing his penis everywhere he felt good. He was that kind of arrogant prick.
Remember my family member who used to kill people for fun, who was a top cop. I know all about these damn cops, I tell you, man. Woo-hoo!
Well, it certainly helps that, you know, my late brother-in-law was very good friends with the chief's brother, who hated his fucking guts too. So there you go. How's that for love? Yeah, I know all about this. Cops, you know, cops don't have any. The ones I ran with and grew up with didn't have any love at all. You know, so the bottom line is, and I still have compassion. I mean, I look at what this individual has done on a spiritual level. He's got some serious crawling back. Yeah. And I feel bad for that. I don't want to be responsible for that. But you see, here's where the golden rule comes in. There's nothing I can do. That was his free will choice. As mine was to stand in truth, his was to stand in lies and evil. Yeah. You know, and we do have. Well, we got 90 seconds left. we do have the conscious ability of choosing good or evil.
Yes, we do.
You know, that is the fundamental choice that we all have. And if you are choosing evil, you are Antichrist. If you are choosing good, you are Christ. Okay?
Yeah.
51% gets you across that fence, guys. Try to do a little bit more than that, but you know what I'm saying?
I just want to say bye to my 6 countries out there if they ever switch over to Where Eagles Soar. And Russia, why are you following me?
Because they love you. They love you.
It's got to be. Everybody in Russia loving me.
Well, that's the thing, because we're speaking truth and they know it. And, you know, I'm looking at countries like China and Russia. The people there are wide awake, and they're going to be part of the savior solution. You know, it's going to hold these evil minions at bay finally. So, but I'm going to say my thank yous right now because we're at 30 seconds. Thanks again to Critical Mass Radio Online, the team and crew there, Paul and Lisa and the crew, for giving us this platform every single night of the week now, 7 nights a week. Unbelievable. And we're going to do our best to get as much truth out where, you know, you'll either love it or choke on it. I don't care either way it's going to work, right? But thank you again, Tyler, for being here.
Love it.
Where Eagles Soar.
I'm honored.
Thank you for helping me as much as I'm trying to help you change this beautiful world into the beautiful world it's supposed to be.
Thank you.
And thanks to the listeners. Oh, my God. Thank you, guys. And that's a wrap. And we'll catch you tomorrow night. We have Laura Ann Woldridge on, who will be exposing the psychiatric community like no other. It's going to be something, I promise. Much love to everybody, and take care, and have a great night. Thanks again, Kyle.
Take care, America. Bye-bye.
Bye.